Is Sandor Clegane, the Hound, still alive? Arya left him to die, but many fans think there's enough evidence to be pretty sure he is still alive in the books. Let's take a look. Hi everyone, this is Robert. Welcome to Deep Geek. If you like theories, background, history and lore about A Song of Ice and Fire, The Lord of the Rings and The Witcher, then this is the channel for you. Welcome. Towards the end of A Storm of Swords, Sandor Clegane, the Hound, and Arya get into a fight with some Lannister soldiers at the inn at the crossroads. They are triumphant, and Arya gets to cross another name off her list, but the Hound suffers a number of wounds, some of which become infected. Arya dresses the wounds for him, but to no avail. They keep getting worse. And after travelling a little way, they have to stop. The Hound, sensing the end is near, begs Arya to give him the gift of mercy. This is foreshadowed quite a lot in their story, by the way. Putting someone out of their pain is shown as a way to give someone a good death, to be kind to them in their last hours. We read this. The Hound's eyes opened. "You remember where the heart is?" he asked in a hoarse whisper. As still as stone she stood. I was only... "Don't lie," he growled. "I hate liars. I hate gutless frauds even worse. Go on, do it." When Arya did not move, he said, "I killed your butcher's boy. I cut him near in half," and laughed about it after. At this point, the Hound is clearly trying to goad Arya. He throws cruel words at her to try to make her angry enough to end his life. But then we get this. Arya stepped away from him. "You don't deserve the gift of mercy." The Hound watched her saddle craven through eyes bright with fever. Not once did he attempt to rise and stop her. But when she mounted, he said, "A real wolf would finish a wounded animal." Maybe some real wolves will find you, Arya thought. Maybe they'll smell you when the sun goes down. Then he would learn what wolves did to dogs. And Arya rides off, leaving him to die, and that's the last official look we have of the Hound in A Song of Ice and Fire. Now, clearly he does return in the TV show, but what about the books? Well, all goes quiet for nearly a book. Intriguingly, we hear several reports of him still being in the Riverlands, most notably attacking the salt pans and committing some atrocities there. How do people know it is the Hound? He's wearing his distinctive hound-shaped helmet, of course. One of the rumours we get, or Brienne gets, is that the Hound has Sansa, or possibly Arya, so she sets off in search of him. She is led by Septon Meribald to the Quiet Isle, a Faith of the Seven commune on a river island in the estuary of the River Trident, accessible only by those who know the route. Which is where this all gets interesting, because the elder brother there tells Brienne that he personally found the Hound as he was dying, crying and begging for the gift of mercy. He says that the Hound died there, under that tree, that he buried him in a cairn, placing his helm atop it. Sandor Clegane is now at rest, he says. Someone else must have found that helmet and worn it while attacking the salt pans. Which should end things, but not everything stacks up on the Quiet Isle. First, there is Stranger, the Hound's horse, which is in the stables on the Quiet Isle. Fair enough, they might have brought it there after the Hound died, you might think, but it is well established that only he can ride or handle Stranger. It starts attacking anyone else who approaches, so how is that horse there, unless the Hound is also there? Then there is the Gravedigger. Brienne is taken up to see the elder brother, and along the way there is this encounter. They passed a lich yard where a brother bigger than Brienne was struggling to dig a grave. From the way he moved, it was plain to see that he was lame. As he flung a spadeful of the stony soil over one shoulder, some chanced to spatter against their feet. "Be more watchful there," chided Brother Narbut. "Septon Meribald might have gotten a mouthful of dirt." The Gravedigger lowered his head. When Dog went to sniff him, he dropped his spade and scratched his ear. There are lots of clues there. Brienne is big, so if someone is bigger than her, they are massive and rare, like the Hound. The Hound is also likely to be lame in some way, given the injuries he sustained. Being a novice and inexperienced fits the timeline here as well, and him stooping to scratch the ear of a dog, a hound, seems like a bit of a nod to the careful reader. And in case you were wondering, he wore a scarf across his face, so there was no chance Brienne or anyone would recognise him. Then, when we examine what the elder brother says, things seem less clear-cut than they first did. Yes, he says that the Hound is dead, but he also refers to himself as having died before joining the Quiet Isle community. It seems that the elder brother was also a soldier who reached rock bottom before finding a new life on the Isle. He seems to draw a distinction between the Hound, the identity connected with Sandor's old life and the helmet, and Sandor himself. The Hound has died. Sandor is at rest, he says. Many fans, and I'm among them, have concluded that the Gravedigger is Sandor. The elder brother happened upon him as he was dying and saved him, and in the process they metaphorically buried the Hound, Sandor's old life. All the terrible things he had done, the past life he had led. The symbol for this past life was his Hound helmet, so they left that on the cairn. Rorg, that good-for-little who we first met in the cage with Jack and Hagar, found it and wore it while attacking the salt pans. Then, when later Brienne kills him, Lem Lemoncloak picks it up. Sandor, meanwhile, travelled with the elder brother to the Quiet Isle, where he is now performing something akin to penitence or restitution for the sins of the Hound. He is digging graves, a very symbolic act, perhaps even one for every person he killed in his old life, and keeping his head down. He is, as the elder brother says, at rest. We haven't got any 100% strong evidence here, but what we do have is rather convincing. The Hound is alive, though checked out of the main action on an inaccessible island and having abandoned his old identity. Of course, this is probably only maybe halfway or so through the story. We have at least 2 massive books left to go and a lot of plot, and there are 2 important things to remember here. First, although we may like the idea of leaving Sandor in that place of rest, his story arc is probably not finished. We don't get a POV chapter from him, but all we've heard suggests that for true peace, he needs to somehow come to terms with what happened in his youth, with his brother, Gregor. That's the root of his anger towards his brother, his fear of fire, his disdain for the knighthood, and so much more. By come to terms with it, I don't necessarily mean Clegane Bowl, a fight between the two to settle old scores, but instead some kind of reckoning or moment of acceptance. The 2 of them are very different now to when they were young. The mountain is now Robert Strong, the zombie mountain, and the Hound is now plain old Sandor Clegane. Will Sandor react to Robert Strong as he had imagined in his younger days, or perhaps show him mercy? The gift of mercy is a strong theme in Sandor's tale. So there is unfinished business out there, and there is also a lot of foreshadowing or simple practical hints that the Quiet Isle may not remain quiet for much longer. It has survived this far in the war-ravaged Riverlands because you need to know a specific route across the mudflats in order to get there, but realistically a few people now know that secret, and you can get across at high tide on a boat, so it's not as isolated as people might think. We also know that many have heard the rumour that there are rubies and riches on the Quiet Isle, and to be fair, they aren't just rumours. The isle is downstream from the Ruby Ford where Robert Baratheon smashed in Rhaegar's ruby-encrusted breastplate during the rebellion. 6 of those rubies have washed downstream to the isle over the years, and they are only defended by a peace-loving community. It must be quite tempting for any one of the many bandit groups currently operating in the Riverlands. So we can expect an attack on the Quiet Isle at some point soon by someone, perhaps some of the remnants of the brave companions. How will the Hound respond? He is at rest, we're told, but will he really just let the people who saved him die, or will he find an axe and fight back? I suspect that even if he does return to his more violent ways, the Sandor who emerges from the experience will not be the Hound we saw in the first 3 books. He will have grown and changed. And perhaps the symbolic centrepiece of this shift will be his helmet. While Sandor has been recuperating in silence, the Hound, or rather his helmet, has kept on committing horrors across the Riverlands. Such is his legend that everyone just assumes it is him. But what better way might there be to establish the change in Sandor than making him face someone else wearing the Hound helmet? Will he need to kill the Hound, metaphorically, or have the option to take back his helmet and either accept or reject his identity as the Hound? There are a lot of possibilities here. And if he is changed, how will he react to Sansa and Arya if he meets either of them? In particular, Arya. He acted as a rather dark mentor for her through a storm of swords, taking her further down a path of normalizing murder and vengeance. Since she left him, she has gone even further, training as a faceless assassin and ticking more names off her list, a list that contains the Mountain. Will the new Sandor actually soften her a bit? Help guide her to understand that maybe vengeance and death aren't the best way to go? It would be an unexpected chink of light in this grim dark tale, but don't rule it out. But what do you think? Do you think the Gravedigger is Sandor? And if so, what is in store for him in the rest of the story? Let me know in the comments below. Did you know that these videos are now also available on Spotify? I'm uploading my back catalogue at the moment, so if you find that an easy way to watch these videos, just go there and search for Deep Geek. If you'd like to see more A Song of Ice and Fire videos like this one, there's a link to my playlist on the left of your screen now. Or to support this channel, thank you. There's a link to my Patreon page on the right of your screen. Thanks for watching. That's all for this time. I'll see you again soon.